Hey guys, it's Fleetyards mission briefing time yet again. I, as always, am Captain Foley.
And I'm your one and only, and you guys, one and only, Commander Cockings.
That's right, and today it's time to never give up and never surrender. We're looking at a ship from Galaxy Quest. As you guys know, there's a wide plethora of ships and universes out there, sci-fi related, and that's what Fleetyards mission briefing is all about, is to bring you those ships, take a look at them, discuss them, and get some context of how they fit in that universe, how they fit in other universes, how things work, why things are the way they are, and this is what we do here. So we have a fantastic ship today. We've actually looked at the NSEA Protector already. We've done a full episode on it.
That was fun.
If you haven't checked it out, check it out.
Please
for
do.
sure.
Yeah.
And today we're looking at the bad guy's ship. This is Sarris's ship.
Yeah.
So
this one is very different. I think really stood out to me personally when I saw it. Now, a lot of times with Fleetyards, we either show a ship to the other person that they've never seen before, because mission briefings are partially a review as well. We take a first look, and most people don't tend to analyse. We did a great special about the USS Kelvin, which our Trekyards show, and there's like 1.5 seconds where the corridor is visible, and because we go in keyframe certain things, you find frames that you don't think about. So all these episodes we try and review bits you might not have even noticed while watching the movie. They're there, but glean some new information. So Stuart, we've both seen this ship. What was your first reaction? Take us back to seeing Galaxy Quest and this ship.
I thought it looked very organic, and because I'm a Star Trek fan, it definitely says like Doomsday Machine to me. That kind of open front end with a glowing element. Not as big, obviously, but it's got elements of the organic. It's also got elements of like a Federation ship. It's got like nacelles on it, but it feels very almost grown. Like it could be a being of some kind of an species 8472 from Voyager kind of vibe. You know, the ship could grow, and it's a thing. It's an entity unto itself. So
great summation. I was going to say all that, so well done.
I'm sorry.
No, yeah. When I saw it, Galaxy Quest is an interesting movie because it's a parody, but it's a sort of straight parody. They take it seriously, but things are still very, you can tell referential. Like the NSEA is not the Enterprise. You know, there's clear things, and stylistically, the NSEA looks a lot like the Reef in terms of the colouring, has the blue engines, has pieces from things. And this ship again, we both say things I think that hasn't realised, but yes, Doomsday. Doi, obviously, yes, wow. Hadn't thought of that before. But I had picked up on nacelles. Clearly those are stylistically, you can pick anything with sci-fi. A lot of times like either nozzles at the back or a kind of long strip of just glow like the Millennium Falcon. But nacelles are a Trek sort of thing, having two distinct engine pods, which are glowy. And this is great because it has, those front rectangle bits like the reef and then big ball, and we'll see them later on, but big ball, other sort of circle elements. It's a great combination of shapes, but very clearly organic. It definitely has a creature vibe, and it's not aggressive in the sense of like sharp points per se. It's more like a alligator, a animal, it's going to come eat you, screw you, like just strip you apart. It's got that sort of aggression, I feel. Like when it comes at you, you're like, ooh, I better not be here. Damn, I'm already here, I'm going to die. That's always the vibe I got, and it was very powerful in the show. Like, we get very little context of the Galaxy Quest verse. We only see the Thermians and Sarris's race. That's really it. And, one of total peace dweebs, in a sense, and one of just warlike. So, but who else is in the galaxy? Are these guys, conquerors? Do they have an empire? We don't really know, but this ship clearly outmatches the NSEA, leaps and bounds. But
yeah, it's a definite good baddie ship because it looks tough and it looks mean. And if we go to the next picture, actually, it's interesting because you had said there were 2 nacelles, but I have a feeling there's 3.
It's true.
I know. I wasn't sure just looking at that other picture, and to be honest, I've watched the movie, never really gave the ship much thought, but when we do these mission briefings, we always make ourselves think, and we conjure up new ideas, and it's really interesting to actually get into the details of these ships and find out, from this picture, which is a model, man, again, this looks very, very aggressive and definitely organic.
But Stuart, this is the model. This is the film miniature.
I know it is. It looks like a, you know, Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors. It looks like if that, you know, ship or that entity became a race, this is the ship that they would design. Like you said too, it looks very alligator with its armor, scaling and stuff. So I don't know. Is it alive? Do you think it's a ship, or do you think it's like built, or do you think it's?
I think for the most part, most organic ships aren't alive, because that's one step too far. And I think most races wouldn't want their ship to have an ability of control over itself. You know, a space whale.
Yeah.
Well, if it decides to go left, you decide to go right. In a battle, especially a warlike species, you can't have those indecisions. But growing something is more, you know, you have a superstructure, then you put organic material which then grows over it and has a heal factor and can absorb radiation better. I think it's that sort of vibe. But I will say, you know, both these film miniatures were taken. I think it's Microsoft or another big company. It was in their auditorium, and this is why I love the behind the scenes aspect, because you get certain shots of the ship in certain colours with certain lighting, all this post work, but now you see it properly, sort of out of context. And I'd never noticed a whole heap of things I'm seeing on this, and it's all there. It is the ship, but they weren't highlighted in the movie, and it's a really interesting, but also very, very simple design. I think simpler than I gave it credit for in the movie.
Yeah. One thing I'm noticing right away is on the top there, that spine, there's windows at the front. So that could be the bridge module. There's actually windows. If you zoom in, you can see the window structure, which is something I never would have guessed that it would have. So yeah, seeing the details are really fantastic. Another cool thing is obviously the NSEA protector is like right behind it, the model. So
yeah, and that is part of why the movie ages so well, because physical details, if they're physical models, if they're built well, they hold up better because they are real. That's just the nature of it. You know, look at Last Starfighter. I mean, the CG ages ultra poorly because there's no textures, and you know, the cinematography is still good, but it ages poorly. The effects might be cool, but it doesn't age well. This is why the first Star Wars, will always age very, very well because of how it was done. VFX is still leaps and bounds ahead. Although this ship, from this picture, clearly they are Sarlacc influenced. I mean, look at those concentric spikes. I mean, that's Sarlacc 101, you know. And again, I think it must have been part of their mentality to have familiar things that are in our culture. Because if we associate even small things with other things, it feels more familiar. So that's a Sarlacc. Having distinct engine modules is kind of Star Trek. Having Bassards is kind of Star Trek. I mean, these things are... I mean, what do you think more off base there?
No, you're absolutely on base. Because I was looking at that. You hadn't noticed the Doomsday Machine aspect of it really before, or thought about it, linked it together. I never linked the Sarlacc. I did see those in there, and I thought that looks very familiar. But you're right.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that parodies do well, is they draw from all the popular things that they're making fun of and incorporate elements, and they've done a fantastic job of that with this. So if we go to the next picture, this is the big maw of the ship.
Yes.
With the mines going into it, which you think would be totally devastating. Oh.
And I wanted to highlight this picture because this middle, and again, you don't really get to see the spikes, but it's clear that in the middle of this middle bit is a solid structure. I mean, we see missiles come out of this zone, which is kind of confusing. We'll see that in a bit. But it's a very, you know, it is a tangible thing. What do you think this really is, and what does it mean, and why is it so light lit, and what, you know?
Well, that's the thing. We don't know. I mean, if we go to the Doomsday thing, it could be a weapon. It could be a big proton beam or something that fires out. But if you go to Federation ships, this could be a huge deflector array designed for getting stellar matter out of the way while the ship's traveling at faster than light. I don't know. I mean, I think it was meant to represent something very menacing and very, you know, like a creature coming at you with its mouth open. It's just instinctually it's terrifying to see that. So, and to add the glowing element, I think makes it look more dangerous. Like it could be a weapon, we just don't know. So I honestly don't know what this could be.
I mean, the Galaxy Quest movie, especially the Sarris, I think it's clear from the movie that the Thermians have more advanced technology. The fact that they can, go through this black hole, well, which is incredible, completely unaffected, and have teleporters that can also go through a black hole. I mean, ridiculous. Self-contained teleportation devices that can go across the galaxy. Okay, beautiful. These guys, they use missiles. They're very basic weapons, just like little bolts of energy. I mean, nothing really pushes technology. They do have teleporters because Sarris does bring on board. So when they fire missiles, that they never see them fire energy weapons themselves, like the ship. So I don't think it's a weapon. It almost, I mean, maybe I would love to have seen this as also a fighter carrier. That would have been so cool to see like a swarm of ships come out of this zone. Would have highlighted the organic nature even more. And I love the alien race's design. They've got like a shell. It'd be fun to see. Little. I think very natural for the race to have that. Although unnecessary, given the movie. Deflectory thing, maybe sensors, maybe. Well, power core needs to have no heat loss, so it needs to be open space. Maybe I don't know.
I get the power core thing, but that's just like here, shoot here, because it's look at our big power core. But going back to a creature with its mouth open, it could be like a whale. It collects stellar matter in that to like fuel itself.
Yeah, that would be the most natural, wouldn't it?
That would be kind of the way I think it would be.
I just think it's really pretty, like a stained glass, but sort of organic-y, snowflakey, sort of, it's very nicely detailed. I just want to highlight it because I've never really considered what is it. But we should, and that's why the show exists. But Stuart, the next picture, we're going straight to the insides. Now, again, I scrolled through this entire movie trying to find these sorts of shots, and this is the best I could find of the bridge. And obviously, it's limited with the sets they build and the budget they have, so that is obviously a limitation. What do you think of the bridge design? What design there is? It's fair to say.
Yeah, it doesn't have as much as an organic feel on the inside. You can see grading, you can see plating on the floor, arches. I mean, it looks very non-organic inside, so it could be a combination of both organic and technological. Well, it obviously is.
Yeah.
But not really much to glean from this picture, I don't think.
For me,
it's an interesting bridge, though. I like it.
For me, it looks like the sewers. Stone sewers. It's got green. It's dusty. It has kind of like a haze. Yeah. I mean, come on. They've got shells like turtles. I mean, come on. That is a. You know what I mean? Alligators, same thing. Alligators live in sewers. The whole thing. I think visually, that's part of it. There's brick. It looks like there's brick on the back wall, and the top bit is like a sewer, train with light coming down. I mean, there's lots of little visual things.
And I know what a lot of people out there are thinking, because we get comments all the time. Guys, they just created it. It's just a show. It's just for a few minutes in a movie. They didn't put much thought into it.
That's what I'm gonna say.
I know that's what we do. I would love to speak to the designer of the ship and actually find out what the thought process was, because this is really put together very well, especially for the little amount of screen time that it did get. It's a fantastic design. So,
people that say design, everything is designed. Do you understand that everything is a production designer, concept artists? It might have been not fleshed out, but it was definitely designed with an idea to fit with an aesthetic. I mean, they don't just say, okay, let's take this barn, add 3 chairs, and call it a bridge. I mean, I'm sorry, it was a big budget sci-fi, amazing actors, good special effects. This was a proper production. And while it wasn't highlighted and it's very sort of low key, it's interesting. And I want to talk about scale for a second. We know it's a huge ship. This is not a huge bridge, but it's certainly decently sized. It's big, but it definitely doesn't. Like it's a bridge, not a central command zone. If that makes sense, it's like he is in command of the ship rather than all the operations are controlled from one zone. That's why I'm getting from this.
Yeah, I would agree.
So the next picture is a question that some people don't like us for, some people do. It's got a window, Stuart, but we don't like windows because Star Trek doesn't have windows. How do you feel about having a window on the bridge?
Okay, I've said this many times over the last little while, actually. I don't mind windows on starships. It actually makes a hell of a lot of sense to have a thick window with, like, computer overlays.
I mean, obviously, transparent steel is not really window. You know, it's very hard material. We know that.
Exactly. But the reason we have problems with it, and everybody seems to think we don't like it, is because it's not the way that Star Trek was. And since then, it's now incorporated its way into Star Trek, which we don't agree with. There should be view screens. But as for other sci-fi franchises, I love the idea. If Star Trek had started out with it, I'd be fine with it. They didn't. So don't incorporate it. But I think it works fine here.
I mean, shuttles have windows, and then shuttles always had windows, and that's fine because that's just the way it is. I mean, when you set the rules of the game, you know, I mean, people always say, you know, the Enterprise D has a window on the top. Yeah, it does, and that's fine because it's a window on the top. It's not the view screen. It's not a weak point. It's not it's there for different reasons. But Stuart, that's fine. We know it is. But I want to go to the next picture, and this is a very, very, very quick sort of moment. But again, design. This is their display interface, and on some sort of control panel thing. And first of all, obviously the right hand side, you can see it's very organic. You know, sort of not decaying, but it's clearly this is an older ship, or it's designed to have strange material uses. But what do you think about the actual display interface?
I love it. I mean, I'm one for computer displays, as you can see. I've got the L cars up here. This one looks fantastic. I love the color palette. I love the layout, the grid work. I mean, you see some kind of alien language there underneath his hand. I think it's fantastic. I mean, I really, especially the color palette mixed with this ship, perfect.
Yes, I was about to say, it feels, they are obviously advanced because they're at this position. So it defies what you've seen before from them, but as soon as you show it, it's like, yep, that works well, I think, for that race. So yeah, I totally buy it.
So the next shot is again the bridge, but we see the view screen, the overlay on the window, I guess. Or is this...
No, this is the window. They've got one of the pillars to the right of Sarris.
Yeah. So the very advanced display graphics and things. I think I love that. I mean, it's not the NSEA protector per se. That's kind of like a scanning the ship. I mean, awesome. I just don't know what to say. I mean, it's just fantastic.
Yeah, I love that they've used the same graphic from the physical display that they're looking down and pointing at they just project it on the viewer. It's a great use of the same graphic, but obviously, you know, the commander the second commander is looking at one. He's modifying it to show the captain, who's able to see everything. And then it zooms into the NSEA and the scan. It's just very functional, very neat. This is how a view screen should be. If it was in this context, you know, a window view screen. I just want to, again, little elements of the movie you don't necessarily highlight, but yep, this is its sort of scan interface and yeah. But the next picture, Stuart, we're sort of skipping quite a bit far in the movie. Definitely you can see the window interface, but I want to show this is their control interfaces. That's how they control the ship. What do you mean?
They could be reconfigurable. Like, it could not be needed right now, so it's kind of closed or off. And then when they need it, it could come up with that other graphic we saw earlier as that being a display screen.
Yeah, I'm looking back and forth, and I think that the display piece is those things. So I guess they're just open monitors that display information. But obviously, the one shot of it looking cool is a CG shot. All these are practical. They didn't want to put displays on, a simple piece of a prop. But it's kind of interesting. It literally is just multiple displays of displays, and everything's touchscreen. So you just go to one bit, it maybe changes to something tactical. Press buttons, you move to the next one. It's quite a neat way of doing it. But it's very simple. But you're right. I think that's definitely standby mode, which seems odd given that they're in a situation. But hey, budget.
Wow.
Yeah.
Again, they didn't expect us to be picking it apart frame by frame.
No.
The next shot is a shot from the outside, and the front of those nacelles actually remind me right away. They scream Vengeance from Star Trek Into Darkness.
Yes.
The front of the Vengeance nacelles, same shape, same kind of interior detailing.
Mm.
That's interesting. And the struts are very reminiscent of like a runabout from Star Trek. The way they attach. So.
Or a very sort of flipped, curvy Enterprise, like.
Yeah.
You know, have low slung but have the same thing. What this shot really says to me, and it sort of defies what we said a little bit before, but look at that right hand half of the ship. It feels like a cathedral to me, like a building, like a big proud structure, you know? So it's kind of infrastructure, it's kind of different, but I like it. It's got different vibes to it. It's a well designed ship.
And the next picture we have, it's a little bit the same picture, but it's close, zoomed in a little bit. Well, it's moving, but it's also firing a missile from the front.
Yes, this is the start of that battle sequence. So missiles, and from that zone, what do you think, Stuart?
It's hard to really get a clear picture of the missile. I mean, it's possible that those missiles are like the spikes, like the Sarlacc spikes that maybe pop out and like project.
That'd be interesting.
Again, very organic, like some plants that spit their spikes at enemies and things. So,
or like shark's teeth, and they come in very quickly. So a shark. Yeah, that'd be a cool idea. And then all around these magazines, and then slip one into the new position, so it keeps the aggressive feel. I don't think it is, but I think that's very, very clever. I totally buy that. The next picture is now the inside of this area, and it looks a little bit different. I don't know. It's very empty though. In a sense, it's all like just sort of detailing, but still very empty. The next picture shows the missiles also come from the middle of the back, so there is multiple locations for missiles, and this also highlights those glowing ball elements. So you've got the big front bit, and actually you can see on the left hand side they're like scoops, slicey, nice, aggressive pieces that you wouldn't tell from most views. Then you've got these big ball elements, which I think are really beautifully detailed. And actually, you can see from the again left, they trail off into these very spiky bits, because we very rarely see the back, and we will see the back later on. And also, like the physical model, we can see, just like the front of the nacelles or engines, they've got these sort of eyes in the rim of the pylons. What do you think about that as a design, and what their functions are and such?
Well, could be energy collectors of some sort, much like the Bizarre collectors on the Star Trek ships. Just have smaller ones. I mean, if they were on the back, I would think there's some kind of impulse or sublight propulsion, but they could be thrusters. They could be for reversing the ship or whatever, but
yeah, maybe.
So many, like, they could also be beam weapons, some kind of like phaser or laser weapon. I'm just throwing ideas out there, things that it could be. So,
or just fun shiny things, and because they bought so many of that sort of plastic pieces, they just said, hey, we'll just put them in the small ones.
Let's make it glow.
Let's make it pretty.
The next shot is when the NSEA protector is flying over the ship. And so this is like the spine of the ship. And again, here we get a very much like a crocodilian feel, or an alligator, very plated armor. I mean, this stuff's probably really tough to get through. At least that's what I picture when I see it. So,
well, there's obviously a reason why, this house ship only gets annihilated, it's fair to say, by the mines going in the front. I get, that's its weak spot, so like the Doomsday Machine, although what a hell of a weak spot. But I love the texture of this. There's a real miniature, and they got this close, and it still looks really, really excellent. So, well done those guys. But the next picture, we're now finally getting to see the reverse shot, and again, this, I see alien creature. I see, really organic, wonderful curves. You don't really think there's such a discernible neck that it goes into the first shape, because you see that front view all the time, but not this. Love the different scales. Love the combination. Yeah.
To be honest, I never considered that. Like, the front is such a gaping maw that I just assumed it went back to a point, not necessarily have this neck involved. So
yeah, me too.
That's really interesting. And again, you got that crocodile alligator vibe to it. Also, space dragon, I think.
Yes, absolutely.
Something like that. I mean, I think it's fantastic. I love this. It's so out of the box. It's so not technological that it makes it very interesting as an enemy ship. So
yes. And if we go to the next picture, which is a few seconds later, we can see again how the shapes super organic. I love the texture of this model. It's just so, like, it's been worn down, but it's very representative of them inside the ship and how it all curves in, and you can see the spines continue to go down, and there's those little details. It's just very, very nice.
Next shot is from, well, the back 3/4 view.
Decipher this one.
Yeah, no kidding, eh? Wow, it's so cool. I just have nothing but good things to say about this ship.
But it does defy what you think, because we never really see these views except these bits. But I love that it is this huge bit, and you're right, it does still come down to a point, but by the neck, like a creature, has that spine, has that tail almost, has those engines, and kind of has that Miranda style, very similar. I would say this is very stylistically very similar to Miranda style from Star Trek torpedo pod, which also does integrate back down, but doesn't connect as we saw from an earlier picture. But if you took that away, it'd just be like a just big head and neck, and then you had the functional bits, the technological bits. I mean, that would go towards your theory of it being a creature. Maybe the front to the end is the creature bit. Then they added, or at least a more living entity, and they added the warpy bits, the FTL bits, onto the structure, because they sort of look a bit tacked on, or they could be tacked on,
So this last picture is the 2 models that they used in the movie hanging up, and again, here you can really see the neck on this thing, from the side, which I never really considered before, but it looks kind of almost less like the model's great, these pictures, because you get different lighting, so you can see more aspects of it. Like I said, the windows up there at the top, and things like that. But at the same time, it looks way less impressive in this lighting than it does in space, all lit up, kind of dark and mysterious. So the fantastic job that they did with this thing. I would just love to get in we need the designer on the show. We need to speak to him and find out what his thought process was behind this thing.
Yeah, it is pretty deadly, as we see in the movie, and Galaxy Quest needed a sequel, needed a TV show, needed something to expand the universe. It was ripe for the expansion, and every great sci-fi needs a great hero ship and needs a great villain, and Galaxy Quest had both. So, awesome job, guys.
Absolutely.
And that is it this week, guys. Thanks for tuning in to another Fleetyards Mission Briefing, your dose of looking at all the big sci-fi verses and even the odd ships you wouldn't necessarily thought we'd look at. We haven't run out of ideas. We want to look at cool and different things. But you can support the show by subscribing to this channel, the Trekyards channel, making sure you click that bell notification so you are kept aware of everything we release and our weekly release schedule. If you want to really help the show, then please do share this video anywhere you think sci-fi fans would enjoy it, Galaxy Quest fans, or even Trek fans, because there are some parallels, or even Stargate if you want to make them enjoy a Sarlacc discussion like we had. So share. Every new fan makes a big difference to the channel, so thank you in advance.
And look for the little thumbs up button. Don't forget that one. Like button helps us a lot. Yep. But if you want to help us continue this show and actually maybe come out with a full episode on this to kind of supplement the NSEA Protector episode, we would love to do that. And the way you can help us with that is Patreon. It's a monthly donation scheme that we have where you can donate on a monthly basis and help out the show. A lot of YouTubers do that kind of thing. It really helps out their bottom end, or their financial aspect, I guess. Keeps the lights on, as Samuel always says.
Let's actually make the damn show.
Keeps the electricity flowing to the mics and the computers to help us do this.
Quite important, electricity, I don't know if you guys realise. Quite important.
It's a pretty important thing, yeah. But if you can't donate on a monthly basis, there is the option of going over to Trekyards.com and clicking the big donate button there if you want to do a one-time donation, because all that does help us out and keeps the wheels turning and keeps these ships coming at you, because there's so many, guys. And people will do a ship and people say, if you run out of ideas, why'd you pick that ship? We just want to do weird, unique things that people might not think we'd necessarily do, as Samuel said. So we want to keep them coming to you. So if you can help us out, please do.
So until next time, guys, he is Captain Stuart Foley.
Foley. And he is Commander Samuel Cockings.
Bye, guys.
And we will see you guys next time on Fleetyards Mission Briefings. Bye, everybody. Never give up. Never surrender.
By Grapthar's.
By Grapthar's hammer. No.
I guess, by Thor's hammer.